Hello, hello, hello. Uh, it's late. My little part of the world. It is 12:37 at night. So it is late. I was sitting here. Had a weird day. Weird day. It's been real rainy here. It's been kind of a crap day. So not a whole lot got done. Inside kind of day. And look forward to, at the end of the day here, the speech given by Trump from Iowa. So I watched that and I heard what he had to say. And I got to thinking, because we know all the crap going on. We know what Fauci says. We know what the Biden administration is doing. We know what the border is. We know Afghanistan. We know critical race theory. We know the jabs. All this stuff, right? Did people ever stop to think, how did we get here? I ask people that, and a lot of people say, well, November 3rd is how we got here. No, that's not how we got here. Well, they've been teaching this stuff in colleges for a decade now, and no, that's not how we got here. Those are all little pieces to the puzzle. We got to where we are now decades ago. It started with our parents' generation. Chip here, chip there, chip here, chip there. If you look at the statistics, break it down into decades, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, all the way up to where we are today. Look at the family unit. Look at the divorce rate. That's where it starts. Everything we do starts with the family. They have consistently put dividers, caused division in the family unit. When I was a kid, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. That's when I was a kid. Generation X. But when I was a kid going to school, you get on a school bus. You never seen kids act the way they did today. I work in the school industry. That's what I do for a living. So I see it firsthand. You never seen these kids talk to adults the way they do. You never see them pull the actions that they do. Where does that start? At home, the family. You never heard these kids talk about divorce. You never heard kids, can I go down here? Your parents never said, no, you'll get kidnapped. Some pedophile's going to snatch you up. No, you're going to be raped. You could be killed doing that. We didn't worry about breaking and entering. We didn't worry about shit like that. Yeah, you locked your doors at night. It's common sense. You didn't hear about this shit on the news. It was a rare thing. If it was bad news on the news, it was, there was a fire here or water main break here and traffic was screwed up and stuff. It wasn't, 47 people died this weekend in Chicago. It wasn't murders up 187% on Fifth Avenue in New York. The cops don't even give a shit. They ain't even responding. They're not even going to respond. You'd have the police officer and the firemen come to the school and give their little talk and stuff, and you were taught to respect the police. If there was danger or if you get lost and you lose your way or something, go to the police. They'll help you get home. And now all you hear is we hate the police. Defund the police. But all of it goes back, the core of all of this stuff starts at the family unit. Now, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I know. But don't misunderstand me, please. This is not a sexist message. This is not anti this, anti that, pro this, pro that. Just hear me out. I'm just explaining myself. What did the government do? First thing they did was they came in with this positive message. And at face value, it's a positive message, right? They somehow put a spin on it where being at home for a woman was not okay. Like that was some kind of job that was beneath you, and you can do everything a man can do. And the whole feminism thing came into play. And women were burning their bras. And then in the 80s, 80s was the year of excess, right? That was the decade of excess. Everything was bigger and better and spend, right? And women didn't want to have families then. The marriage rate started going down. The divorce rate started going up. Women, you can have a career too. Why does your man have to have a career? You can have a career. So women started going after careers. Women started having less kids. Somehow, being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, or however you want to describe that, started to become a dirty word. And then what happened? Well, we're going to go to court. Well, I can take half your shit. The court started forcing fathers to pay ridiculous support. Well, you have to pay the majority of the support. You're the man. You make more money than she does. And all the women and all the liberals and all of these people went, yeah, that makes sense. That's a good idea. That's how it's supposed to be. And you need to man up. You need to be a man, and you need to. And all of a sudden, that guy, everything he worked for, he now has half, if he's lucky. And he has to work twice as much to have half as much. By state, in my state, and most of the countries like this, you're allowed to take up to 55% of a man's income for child support. So think about that. Say this guy has a job, makes $20 an hour, 40-hour work week. All right? So he's making $800 a week before taxes. Okay? 4 weeks in a month, he's got $3,200. They take roughly 24.5, 25% out in taxes. So there's a week's pay. Gone. Now he's got about $2,600, $2,700. Okay? And out of that money, they're allowed to take up to 55%. And that man is supposed to smile with 45% of his pay and pay all his utilities, pay his rent, mortgage, house, whatever. If he's remarried or whatever, he has to support that family. Put gas in his vehicles, food on his table. And the whole time, everyone's going, that's a good idea, and you need to man up, and that's the way it should be. Meanwhile, the woman don't have to prove that she's doing anything to support that child. Why? Why? So what's the next thing they do? You're a single mom. You can get food stamps. You can get a free cell phone. You can get Section 8 housing. You can get all this help paying your utility bills. You can go to school for free or decreased, wages. You can get a lawyer to fight that guy through the welfare system and only pay 30% of the normal fees. This guy's fighting like hell to see his kids. He wants to be the stand-up guy. He wants to be the father in that kid's life. But he's trying to do it all on 45% of his pay. And he has to pay fucking full rate for the attorney, which is $150, $200 an hour. He's missing work. So every time he goes to court, it's costing him $200 an hour, and he ain't making a dime. And he gets financially buried. And they put the bow on it like it's a good idea. And that guy needs to man up and do it. Meanwhile, the underlining part of it is they just divided that family. They divided that family. There will never be reconciliation between those two people. Even if they don't get back together, even if the marriage don't last, they could still reconcile and be civil with each other, which is in the best interest of the kid. But that'll never happen because now the court's involved. And now this woman has all this shit from the government. She's entitled to all these different programs, which are being paid for by taxpayer expense. Is making more money than the guy would make if you didn't take child support from him at all. And I'm not advocating for that. That's not my point. But I'm just saying, what good did you do? What positive come out of this? Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form advocating for that. I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that ain't good. I spent $20,000 trying to get custody of my kids, and I won. I defended myself in court because I couldn't afford an attorney. I hit the law library every chance I got. I researched everything I could. I represented myself, and I had everybody in that courtroom, including my ex-wife's attorney, tell me, and I quote, "You need to just give it up and quit spending your money. You're a man in Pennsylvania. You're not going to win." What does that tell you? The deck's stacked against you. Before you start. Before you even get out of the gate. And who suffers? Everybody involved. But who suffers the most? The kids. The kids. They wrap this up in a pretty little bow and tell you how important it is and how good it is and how wonderful it is and how right it is and how they need to man up and do this shit. But what they don't tell you is that child without a father in the home is less likely to graduate high school. He's less likely to go on to college. He's less likely to have a good paying job when he gets older. He's less likely to have a dependable, stable family of his own once he's an adult. He's less likely to be a leader. He's more likely to be an alcoholic. He's more likely to get involved in gangs. He's more likely to be involved in drugs and crime. And nobody knows this better than Black Americans. Because Black Americans have been lied to so fucking bad. Promises, promises, promises. Boom, 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 boom. Lie, 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 lie. And then they have the balls to go on and go, well, the marriage rate in the Black community is down 17% from last year. Yeah, no shit. Because the government designed it to be that way. Nobody's ever going to convince me that that's how that's supposed to be. Now, I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that there ain't scumbag dudes out there who just don't want to take care of their kids. They have no responsibility, and they're just plain pieces of shit, because that's what they are. But you're not going to convince me that there ain't just as many women. You're not going to convince me that it happens more in the Black community or the white community or the Hispanic community or the Asian. How come you never hear about that? It's a division tool. They use anything and everything to divide Americans. The worst thing is for all of us to be united. Well, what's the core of that? The core of that is the family unit. Mom and dad. Mom and dad. That's where it starts. Whatever that son or daughter turns out to be, it's going to be because of mom and dad. Whether it's positive or negative, whether it's because they're in their life or they're not in their life, whatever the end result is on mom and dad. The family unit. And it doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, purple, or green with pink polka dots. It belongs to mom and dad, and that's where it starts. They made it a dirty word. They made it a dirty word. And they continue. They continued with it. They continued with it. After that, after women wanted to have their careers and everything, which I'm not against. I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm saying do whatever the hell you want to do. It's America. You have a right to go do it if that's what you want to do. I'm just saying that they intentionally planted the seeds. Put a shiny coat on it. That car's a rusted out piece of shit with a bad frame, but we put a new paint job on it, and boy, does she look fancy now. So after that, what they did was they say, well, hey, women should be paid the same amount of money as a man if they're going to do that job. And everyone said, yeah. Should be the same, equal. That's sexist. You can't do that just because of our gender. You can't pay us less. And we all bought into it. Or most of us bought into it. But in reality, that's not how an economy works. That's not how a family unit works. And that's not how a country is going to survive. It seems to me like it would depend on the job. And I'm not saying that a woman ain't qualified to do any job that a man can do, unless your job is, working at a sperm bank. Other than that, if that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. If you're both nurses and you're both on the same job and you both have the same experience, then you both probably should get the same money. That makes perfect sense. But that guy who's a roofer carrying 4 bundles of shingles up the fucking ladder to every one that you carry as a woman, you don't deserve the same money as him. I'm not saying you can't be a roofer. If you want to be a roofer, go knock yourself out. It's a miserable fucking job. I'm just saying you don't deserve the same money. But they don't do that. They look at it unilaterally. Then they did it. Then they did it in other communities. $15 minimum wage. Remember that big fight? That ain't over. That ain't over. Right now, today, we need people back to work more than we ever did before. The economy's crap. It's complete crap. Right down the street from me, McDonald's got signs out. $17 an hour, $500 sign-on bonus. I got a McDonald's the next town over from me. $17 an hour, $1,000 sign-on bonus. Where's all these motherfuckers that wanted $15 an hour? Here's your shot. Here's your shot. Can't get nobody to work. Why? Because it ain't about $15 an hour. It's not what it's about. It was never about that. If it was, these people would be flocking in there like crazy. They're making $2 an hour more than what they wanted. On a 40-hour work week, that's another $80 a week. Another $320 a month. Crying out loud, end of the year, you're in a whole nother tax bracket. You want the money? Nope. My McDonald's down the street here closes its lights at 9 o'clock and shuts down. That's it. They open at 5 in the morning. They close at 9 o'clock at night because they don't have nobody to work. Wendy's, same way. Denny's, same way. The Giant Eagle, the Target. Hell, even the Walmart up on the hill closes at 10:30. Used to be open later than that. Can't get people to work. They somehow convince people that it's okay to do this shit. But they pick and choose like it's some kind of buffet. Like, well, I'll get some of this, and I want some equal pay. No, and I want some of this. I want some. Wait, what? Titanic's going down. Women and children off first, and the men have to. No, I don't want that equal men shit. You motherfuckers stay on the ship. I'm getting the rope. I'm getting the raft. I'm out of here. So they don't want to be treated like a man. They want to cherry pick the good shit of cheating like a man. And again, let's shine a negative light. Now rewind everything and go back to the core. Go back to the core of it all. What's a man's job? Provide for his family, protect his family. When you're laying in bed and hear a bump in the night and the screen door's banging, do you say, hey, honey, sit here while I go check it out? Or do you nudge your husband and go see what that was? I heard a noise. I could tell you this from experience. Growing up, my dad put his work boots on, grabbed his lunch bucket, and went to work every day of his life. Now, there were different times where my mom had a part-time job or something like that when the kids got older. But when we were younger, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I have siblings. There's 4 of us all together. My mom held that house together. My mom did everything. Everything. For a long time, until my dad got hurt, my dad was an over-the-road truck driver. He was gone all week, trucking. He'd come home 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Saturday night. He'd be there Sunday night, grab his shit, back to the trucking. See you next Saturday. So, food on the table. Yeah, he was paying for everything. He was providing for everything. My mom didn't have a job where she worked and got a paycheck. Food on the table, clean house, warm bed, kids dressed, grocery shopping, grass cut. Made that house work. And then, of course, as the kids get older, you start doing more and more at the house until it's done. They destroyed the family unit. That's the point of all of this. This ain't a sexist rant or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm not doing that. The point of it is they destroyed the family unit. And then as each year went by, it got easier and easier and easier. It became normal. And the kids got away with a little more and a little more and a little more. When I was a kid, you had to be home for dinner. You sat down at the dinner table as a family and ate dinner. Now this one eats at this time and he's going to eat after football practice. And, she's got dance class, so she'll eat before she goes to dance class. And this one's eating in their bedroom and that one's on the couch. And, every weekend we used to go to my grandparents' house. Well, it's Saturday. I'm sure we're going to grandma's. We hardly ever go to grandma's. You have kids standing up in class telling teachers and principals to shut up, to shove it. If I'd have told my dad to shut up, the only place I'd be going is the emergency room. I don't know if you can see it, but my nose is fucking crooked a little bit right here. That's because when I was 16 years old, I decided to get a little smart with my mom. And I didn't know Dad was home. And he quickly informed me that he was. I'm in my 40s. And if I'm sitting in my parents' house to this day, if my dad says, Ed, get up and take the garbage out, I get up and take the fucking garbage out. I'll be halfway down the end of the street thinking, I don't even fucking live here. What the hell? This ain't mine. I just do it. (2021), you tell your kids to take your garbage out of their bedroom and you got a 50-50 shot of it happening. We had an hour. The original Nintendo come out. We had an hour to play Nintendo. And that was split between my brothers. I was never a big video game guy, so it didn't bother me. But now they're on it all day long. They got their face in their cell phones all day long. We had chores. How many kids nowadays have chores? And how we get there? It broke down the family unit. We used to live in a society where Dad could go to work and support a family and have a good made car and a good quality equipment, refrigerators and your couch and your TV and it was quality shit. It lasted forever. You owned it forever. We had the Zenith, 25-inch Zenith TV, the big wooden console sat on the floor. Had it forever. And when the color started going bad on it, what did we do with it? Mom threw a cover on that. You got a new TV or a new used TV, and you set that son bitch right on top of that floor console one. Now you got a TV and a TV stand. Happy-go-lucky. Where was the TV? In the living room. If you were lucky, mom and dad had one in their bedroom, but most houses it was just in the living room. Now, you got 60, 65, 70-inch TVs in every room in the fucking house. Kids think having a flat screen TV is normal. We never had a flat screen TV in my life till I worked and bought one myself. And I was in my 30s when I did that. So somehow we went from a family unit with quality made stuff and mom in the home holding the house together and dad providing for everybody and family dinners at the table to a bunch of crap in our house. 99% of comes from China. The kids running and doing whatever the fuck they want, disrespecting everybody, entitled to everything. And it's sad to say, mom and dad's divorce is far more common than, no, my mom and dad's been married for 20 years. No, that's not how we grew up. And see, once they busted up the family unit, now you're weaker. So now while mom's sitting at home taking care of the family unit, we're going to put this shit on the TV to get into her brain. And the kids are at school, so we're going to put this shit in their textbooks to get into their brain. Chip, 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 chip. Keep chipping away. And little by little, step by step, decade after decade, this generation is softer than that one, and the next generation is softer than that one. There was a time when we had 17, 18, and 19-year-old kids storming the beach knowing they were going to die for this country. Now we have purple-haired, big earrings dudes who's not 100% sure they're male, or maybe they're male Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but they're whatever the fuck they think they are on the weekends, living until they're 35 years old in mommy's basement playing on the fucking computer. Yeah, you can keep your kids on the insurance till they're 26. Oh, that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing, and we need to do this. By the time you're 26, you should be able to support yourself. You should have your own insurance. You should have your own place, an apartment, buy your own trailer, buy a house, whatever the fuck your deal is, wherever you live, whatever. But they normalize that. We had the biggest generation of kids graduating colleges and moving back home with mom and dad. And of course, mom and dad says, okay, they love you. They're not going to let you just, you know what I mean? Of course, they're going to say, okay. Even if it ain't okay, they're going to say it's okay. But what does that do? Where's the family unit? We used to have hardware stores. We used to have diners. They used to call them mom and pop shops. We'd have the mom and pop hardware store where you go down there and somehow they had everything. We used to go to a place called Isley's every once in a while. That was a treat. A little diner. And they had different things, but as a kid, the things that we always got was the macaroni and cheese and the ham barbecue sandwiches. Isley's was known for the ham barbecue sandwiches. And then when you were done eating, you got a milkshake. And that was it. I mean, that was a treat. You don't have mom and pop shops no more. All that shit's been replaced by Target, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, corporations. Which sounds like a great thing. Well, it's convenient. It's convenient. Got a bunch of single moms with their kids. She can go to Walmart. She can have her tires rotated while she gets groceries and, does some school shopping for the kids. Knock it all out, one shop. That was convenient. Awesome. We're on our way home. But all that shit, all that tax-paying mom and pop shops, gone. So now you don't have a community anymore. You have people who live in the area. And the taxes that mom and dad pop shops were paying are no longer there. So you got your Walmart, but your taxes went up. Because they're not going to go without the money. They're going to get it somewhere. And where does Walmart pay? Oh. Well, when mom and pop Wall died, because Walmart started as a mom and pop shop in Arkansas. That's how it started. And they got a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. And they spread out and they got another branch and another branch, which is the American dream. That's what you want to have happen. But when they got older and sold the business went corporation. So now it ain't mom and pop no more. It's corporation. Who owns most of that corporation today in 2021? China. They're not helping pay taxes in your local community. They're not doing a damn thing for you. They're so fucking arrogant that they say, come on in, buy this shit, go through the self-checkout. That's basically, come on into my warehouse, get your shit, pay me some money, and get the fuck out. And then, just to add insult to injury, on the way out, let me see that receipt. I want to make sure. And they do that with everything. So like I said, little by little, each generation, each decade goes by, chip, chip, chip. They just keep chipping away. They do the same thing in politics. Think about this. JFK, in 1963, JFK gave his speech before he was killed. JFK was a Democrat. JFK gave his speech down there in Texas. In 2021, if JFK was alive and gave that exact same speech today, He'd be considered a far right extremist. That's how far we've moved. That's what they do. We want this. We want this. Here's your center line. Da, 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 and it goes like this. And these motherfuckers will go, well, we got to win because we're not over here. They don't say nothing about we move from here to here. And then the next one. Well, this is a win because we didn't go. And then the next one. And then the next one. And then the next one. And these motherfuckers are saying we won because we didn't get over here. Meanwhile, the middle's back fucking here. You just slowly get by. Further and further and further away. If you tell somebody today you're a constitutionalist, it's a dirty word. You're an extremist. And everyone goes, how did we get there? How did that happen? Happened right in front of your face. You allowed it. That's how it happened. Everybody focuses on the face value shiny issue. No one looks at the end game. No one looks at the big picture. What's behind that shiny paint job? Oh, well, this car is a rusted out piece of shit. It's got brand new chrome wheels on it and a fucking fancy paint job, but there ain't no motor under the hood and the frames were rotten. But nobody does that. That's how we got here. In 2021, and it's been this way for a while, if you're a single individual, you can't own a home. You can't go right now and buy a home. There's no fucking way. I don't care if you make $30 an hour. You damn near can't afford it. You can't. If you have kids, forget about it. There's no way you're going to afford it. $200,000 houses, $50,000, $60,000 for a vehicle. Really? That's $250,000 to buy a house and a new vehicle. $250,000. Think about that. If you make $40,000 a year, there's no way. There's no way. If you make $45,000, $50,000 a year, there's no way. You got utilities to pay. You got kids to raise. You got groceries to pay. There's no way you can do that. With the interest rates and the way the fucking banks monopolize everything, because that's who really runs the country, is the banks. Thanks, FDR, you fucking dick. There ain't no way. You can't afford to get married. Can't afford it. Can't afford to have a family nowadays. And that was the wedge put in there. Once they divided everybody and got rid of the family unit, let's make sure it never gets back that way. We're going to make it economically impossible. These motherfuckers are going to cohabitate for financial reasons. How many times have you heard that? So they do. And the kids grow up and they think it's normal because that's what they've seen. That's what they've grown up with. So it's okay to treat a woman this way. It's okay to treat a man this way. Meanwhile, the man and woman are friends. They get along. But they're not in love with each other. They're just cohabitating. Because financially, they couldn't do it single. You know how many times I've heard people go, can't afford to leave. Can't afford to stop. Can't afford to do it on my own. And then in the next breath, they'll tell you this is America, the greatest country in the world. Anything's possible in America. And that's true. And that is true. This is the greatest country in the world. This is the greatest country that has ever existed in the world. There's no one even remotely close. But what these corrupt people have done have destroyed so much of what this country is supposed to be, how this country is supposed to be. And again, it's problems with healthcare systems, it's problems with work, with the economics, it's problem with housing, it's problem in schools and the education boards, it's problems in everything. And all of those problems, if you really root back to the root cause of all of it, was the breakdown of the family unit. Ask your parents or your grandparents, depending on how old you are, what was the big problem? Did you have these problems in the school systems when you were younger? Did you? No. Did you have this kind of crime when you were younger? No. It's a divide and conquer. As long as you're divided, they do the same thing with everything. Look at race. Look at the race issue. What do they do with race? These people are white supremacists. These people need to do this. Meanwhile, on the news, they don't show all the positive stuff that black folk do. They don't show it. How many times have you turned on the news and went, these two kids saved these kids from a fire? These two kids did charity work in their community. These two kids worked their asses off and got a scholarship to this school. No, what do they tell you? There was a shooting here from a black kid. There was an armed robbery here from a black kid. This black kid got into this school because he's black. And they make a point to make it about his race. Divide, divide, divide. Everybody at home watching the news going, well, that's bullshit. So then they walk around and go, this is bullshit. These fucking black people get to do anything they damn well please and da 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 da. Divide, divide, divide. What are they doing right now? What are they doing right now? Look at the riots and all the crap that happened. Look at the shooting that just happened. The kid's out having a good time partying on $75,000 bail. That other kid up in what was it, Minnesota or Wisconsin? I think it was Wisconsin. That Kyle Rittenhouse or whatever his name was, $2 million bail, and spent how long in prison for self-defense? Self-defense. This kid blows in and starts shooting up a school, $75,000 bail and stuff. Why? Because the optics and the message that you get through your fucked up TV, your news channel, divide, 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 divide. It's about race. It's race. It's race. It's race. They did the same thing with the family unit. That's how the family unit, women, you need to do this. Women, you need to do this. And divide, 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 divide. It's because of your genitalia. That's why. And meanwhile, people didn't even think that way. Nobody thought that way until they put the idea in your head. You know what I mean? Nobody's born a racist. You don't come firing out the chute going, I think I fucking hate Asians. It's not how it works. You're taught. It's a taught behavior. And there's people of all races that are taught to hate other races. It's crazy. It's crazy. They got into your churches. Religion's a man-made thing. It's some of the most evil, divisive shit out there. Nowhere has God ever said anything about religion. Talks about the spirit, talks about the soul, doesn't talk about religion. He doesn't say, well, be a Lutheran, be a Baptist, be a Pentecostal, be a Catholic. Those are denominations. How did we get denominations? From man. It's man-made. God ain't worried about what religion you are. He ain't worried about the color of your skin. He ain't worried about male, female. He ain't worried about you making $100,000 a year or $10 a year. He's worried about your soul. He's worried about your spirit. But these Satanists in government divide. We can divide them. Well, we can divide them economically, different housing and stuff. And these people up here in the fancy houses have to hate these scumbags down here on the other side of the tracks. And these people down here have to hate those ritzy yuppie fucks up on the hill. They're sexist. Hate them. They're racist. Hate them. They're extremist. Hate them. Divide. How do you fix it all? How do you fix it all? First and foremost, you go back to God. First and foremost, go back to God. God wasn't here. God never left anybody. It's free choice. If you ain't got God, it's because you ain't got God on your dime, on your watch, on your fault. God never walked away from anybody. You, at some point in time, made a decision to walk away from him. The second thing you do is you break the cycles and you have a strong family unit. That's how it works. When you have a mom and dad in the house, common goal, working together, sons watch dad, how he treats his mom, how he talks to a woman. Daughters watch mom and dad. They learn what to expect from a man, and anything less than this is I'm not accepting that. They learn how to do other stuff from mom. That helps the next generation. That helps the next family. That helps your grandkids, your bloodline. And it builds from there. You have to break the cycles. Those two things. If that happened nationwide, you'd see the schools get better. You'd see the crime rates go down. You'd see the drug rates go down. You would see everything across the board. You know my number one reason for not doing some of the shit I did as a kid? My dad will kill me. I wasn't scared of my mom. I'm 6'5", 250 pounds. Well, you can ask anybody I went to school with. I was a big kid. I was 15 years old. I was 6'5", $190. I grew quick. I wasn't the least bit scared of my mom at 15 years old. She ain't going to hurt me. What's she going to do? Hit me? I don't care. At a certain point, she She ain't going to hit me. It's going to hurt her more than it hurts me. I don't give a shit. But she had that trump card. She had those magic words. All right, motherfucker. I'm going to tell your dad. Wait a minute. That changes everything. That changes the game. And it don't matter who your dad is, if he's big, little, whatever. It's dad. In my case, my dad's fucking enormous. That's why I'm so big. There was discipline. There was respect. There was boundaries you didn't cross. How many kids do you think would tell their teachers to shut up, tell their principals to shove it, if they knew you're going to explain yourself to dad when you get home? How many schools do you think would be shoving critical race theory down your throat if they all knew, no, there's a strong family unit? This whole town's going to go ballistic if we do that shit. Ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. How many Walmarts and Targets do you think we'd have if we all just quit spending our money there and we went back to mom and pop? Go buy your hammer and nails at the hardware store. Go down to the local whatever diner and enjoy a meal. Go to your local deli and buy your lunch meat and all that shit for your lunches for work that week. A little bit of inconvenience would change everything. Well, this is dragging on. I didn't realize I was on here this long, so I'm damn near into it, an hour. And I have a lot more to say, but I will end it here. It's 1:35 in the morning, so I guess, and I'll save the rest for another show. I'll see you.